Hey, welcome back. Now, today we are going to discuss about the types of body language. So far, what we have discussed the role of body language and also how to decode our body language. So the way you stand, the way you lean, the way you shake hands, all of that are a part of you communicating non-verbally. And by now, I'm sure you would have realized that we communicate louder with our body language that are non-verbal cues than with words. And today, what we are going to discuss are the types of body language so that we understand. See, if you remember in the last video, we discussed about a little bit that your body language is controlled by your subconscious brain. And that is one of the reasons why most of the time your expressions, or for that matter, your tone, sometimes convey a different message than what your words are saying. All right. So now we need to be conscious about how to use and effectively use our body language. I hope it's making sense. Okay. So pay attention. I hope you're going to take down notes and I'm going to show you the screen and we're going to talk about different types of body language. All right. Here we go. Now let's begin discussing about the type of body language. So by now, I'm sure you have realized this, that the key to success in both your personal and or professional relationship lies in the ability of you communicating effectively. Now, we don't always use words. That's what we've been discussing so far. Sometimes we use our non-verbal cues and louder than the words that we use. And funny part is, the body language, like we were discussing in Ann Washburn's video as well, is controlled by your subconscious brain. And hence, most of the time, we are not in control of how we are using our non-verbal cues through our gestures or facial expressions or so on and so forth. Now, the idea of us covering this or going through this session is so that we understand the role body language plays in our lives and then understand the types of body language, and then instead of using it subconsciously, use our non-verbal cues consciously. Okay, so I hope it makes sense. Now, the first thing that we need to understand or rather learn is called facial expressions. Now, facial expressions, ladies and gentlemen, let me put it this way, okay? Our face is very expressive, extremely expressive. It's difficult to hide our joy, our sadness, our emotions. When you're angry, it gets sometimes difficult. The fun part about facial expression is the facial expressions are universal. That means when the way you smile here is the same way you'll smile in any culture, in any country. Facial expressions are universal. So expressions like happiness, sadness, anger, or when you are fearful, or when you look at something with disgust, they are the same all across cultures and countries. And that's one of the reasons why when you smile and talk, it makes the other person at ease and also makes you sound more confident. Remember that facial expressions are universal. But what about the other one? Well, the other one is called body movement and posture. Again, I'm going to take you back to the previous video that we watched, okay, about Ann Washburn, and she was talking about her son, how he used to stand. And then when he changed his posture, the way he used to stand, people began to, his classmates basically began to respect him and people stopped bullying him. See, how your perception about people begins to form is also the way you perceive them, the way they are standing, the way they are talking to you, the way they are leaning in. All of that are non-verbal movement, and that is something that you and I pay very close attention to without knowing. So the way you move and carry yourself communicates a lot of information about you. So this type of non-verbal communication includes your postures, the way you stand, the way you lean, the way you go back, All of that are a part of your non-verbal cues, and they make you either come across as confident person or sometimes even passive, because you cannot just assume that you can be assertive just in words. That assertiveness needs to be shown through your body language as well. Make sense? Great. Let's move on to the third one, which is called gestures. Now, gestures are something that we have been using ever since. Even when you were a child or a kid, you have been using gestures, knowingly or unknowingly. Now you put it this way. Remember when you have a friend standing at a distance and you have to wave at him to show where you are? Well, that's a form of gesture. When you point at some things, that's also gesture. And also when you're angry, the way you gesture with your hands, the way you use your body language, the way sometimes we animate things, all of that are part of gestures. Now, gestures, however, are not universal. Like if you look at this picture, he is showing an OK sign. Now that OK sign is completely positive in some countries, or rather English speaking countries. But this is considered rude in countries like Germany, Russia, or Brazil. So it's very important to know how we use our gestures in different continents or different countries. However, how is gestures a part of body language? How does it convey? Well, your gestures shows that what you mean is actually what you're saying through your words is actually what you mean or not. Okay, so your gestures are an important part of your body language, and they are woven into the fabric of our daily lives. Okay, let's move on to the other one, which is eye contact. Now, I have discussed this at various forums with you about eye contact, so I'm sure you are aware of it, about why eye contact is important. But the way you look at someone, okay, conveys a lot of meaning. So let me put it this way. When someone looks at you, you know exactly how you are being looked at, whether you're being looked at endearingly or someone is staring at you. And that is one of the most crucial factors when it comes to conveying the right message. For instance, if you do not make eye contact, you do not come across as a trustworthy person. However, if you keep looking at the person in the eye, it can also be taken as that you are trying to dominate. So what is the right amount of time that we should be looking at each other? Well, about 3 to 5 seconds. Anything less than 3 and you're not trustworthy. Anything over than 5, then you come across as someone who's staring. Now, eye contact is also important in maintaining the flow of conversation. For instance, if I look at you and you look at me and we talk, and it's a healthy eye contact, 3 to 5 seconds, then you break away and then you again make contact. All of that makes the conversation interesting. Nobody likes to talk to a person who's not able to look at you, because instantly your subconscious brain will give you signals that that person is not trustworthy. Hence, pay close attention to when you're talking to. Your eye contact also shows the level of confidence you have in yourself and in what you are speaking. Okay? Yeah, good one. Okay, let's move on. What about this one? Touch. Well, is that a part of types of body language? Of course, one of the part of body language or type of body language. All right, we communicate a great deal through it. Let me paint a picture. Imagine that you meet a friend and he gives you a very limpy handshake, okay, like very weak handshake. Yeah, how will that sound, or how will that make you feel when he gives you this hand and that's very weak handshake? Versus, how about when your friend meets you and he gives you a warm hug, a nice tight hug? Yeah, all of these, ladies and gentlemen, conveys a meaning. That is the reason why when it comes to shaking hands, we are told to have a firm handshake, but not like a choke, not like you want to crush every bone in the hand that you're shaking. But the idea is that he or she should be able to feel that you are a confident person. So give a nice firm handshake. But what about the other bit? What about an arm on the shoulder? Well, if you are friends, of course you can put your arm around my shoulder and we can talk. But if you do not know me, maintain some space. Too much touching also conveys negative body language, because not everybody wants to be touched. So maintain distance, have some space when you're talking to people. And if you're a friend and you both are okay, then only go ahead and probably give a high five, give a hug, so on and so forth. All right. Make sure that you use your touch effectively, because a pat on the back is different from the pat on the head. Know the difference. Okay, good. Moving on to the last one, which is voice. Now, when you think about voice, okay, what does it mean? Well, it's a verbal part of communication. So why are we covering it here? Well, that's an important thing to say, yes, but the way you say sometimes changes in the way you would come across. For instance, let me put it this way. It's not what you say, it's how you say it. So when you speak, other people read your voice in addition to listening to your words. And the trouble is that we pay more attention to the tone than we pay attention to the words. And that's the reason why most of the time we have miscommunication, because sometimes your tone reflects something completely different to what you're being saying. Hence, think about how your tone of voice can indicate your sarcasm, anger, affection, or even confidence.